Now on today's video, I'm going to show how I fixed the Petcock on my Evil Twin GS1100E. I have two of them. One's a parts bike, one's a runner. It's called an Evil Twin project because I swapped the bodywork, and I have a second bike without having to tune two engines or register two bikes. I basically have the joy of having two different motorcycles. And I've done that several times to several bikes, including my FCR. But on the GS, it's especially nice because the West COOLEY bodywork really is a unique set of bodywork. And I have a set of gold wheels, and I have a set of black wheels, and I have a set of stock wheels. So I really have a lot of choices when it comes to customizing a bike. And on a previous video, I think it was about a week before this, we did a complete restoration of the Champaign paint. I couldn't be happier the way that 43-year-old paint buffed out. But now what I want to do is get that bodywork back on the original bike and get the Petcock fixed. Did a little repairs to some of the tabs and some of the things that needed to be updated. But we were waiting patiently for a day that was above freezing to do the swap of the parts. And that looks like that might be today. You never know here, though. It could just turn around and be below freezing again. Should be a nice day today. Now, this paint is 43-year-old original factory paint, but I've maintained it meticulously. But I know for a fact these bikes made in this era do not have giant amounts of clear on them, so I was very careful, and I made a separate video of buffing out this old paint, because you didn't want to go through and just grind off all the paint. That's the problem. And that's very typical of bikes, and I've done a lot of them from this era. Now the first step on this is going to be, and I always stored the bike, all the years it was in storage, this bike anyway, I filled the gas tank with gas. Well, that gas is 4 or 5, maybe older. So when I brought the bike down into the cellar, of course, I took out all the gas. I don't want any gas inside the house. So now the first thing I have to do here, and I'm going to do this momentarily, I'm going to take this up to the gas station and put just enough gas in it that I can drive the bike up and fill the tank. This way, when I put the tank on and off, what's nice about doing it that way, the tank doesn't weigh 50 pounds. 2 gallons, 1.5 gallons is plenty. So here's one of the unique things that I have to remember as I'm going to take this into the car and bring it up to the gas station. Unlike if this is not parts from my original bike, these are the parts from the bike I bought in Philadelphia. So this bike, for whatever reason, who knows, maybe this bike was made from parts, has 3 different keys: ignition, seat, and gas tank. My bike, one key fits everything. So I'm going to make sure when I'm done with this, I'm back to having this gas cap on the other bike. Unique little things. I could drive up to the gas station with the key to my bike. Not going to do me any good. So the first little issue I ran into, and I kind of figured this might happen, is because I had already switched these Petcocks. The Petcock on this bike that was on the Philadelphia bike was not good, and I remember switching them. A guy recently had to diagnose the Petcock, the issue with the Petcock on Jim Skinner's bike that he just finished doing some work on for him. Joe Padula also had Petcock issues, and I know Luciano had Petcock issues. Everybody that ever works on one of these bikes for any length of time, you see me have Petcock. Well, I wanted to make a good point. This is a good thing. When a bike's in storage 4 or 5 years, 3 years, whatever, it's a good idea. Put some gas in, turn the Petcock on, and in this case we bypassed the vacuum and nothing came out. And then I remember, see, if I was younger, my mind would work better. Then I remember I had to switch these Petcocks, and I don't remember if that was the original problem, but I know the Petcock on this bike is good. So the first thing, and I'm not going to probably even get anything done here today, but this is the kind of thing when you're switching out the parts of the bike. Now we have originally, I wanted to switch the carburetors too once the weather warmed up. I wanted to see if those carbs, which have a jet kit in them, run any better than these carbs. And you never know. It's the kind of thing, it probably isn't going to make any difference at all. But I know what is going to make a difference. Once I get all that body work on here, I'll be really happy. But the first thing, tomorrow morning we'll start off nice and early with a fresh cup of coffee. and we'll switch to Petcocks. Reminds me of one day that I was at Luciano's for a whole day. He had a yellow Katana and the Petcock was unreliable. And I remember it made us crazy for the whole day until we resolved it. I hope this is not going to be the day. Because if I have to, I'll switch them. I'd really like this. Step one would be very nice if I could fix this, but I got to pull it apart. First I got to get the tank in position so the fuel doesn't all come out. Pull the Petcock off and see what gives. Well, step one, I had to take out the fuel that I had put in there the day before. And good thing I have plenty of 5-gallon cans. Now luckily these, I may even have a spare one, I don't know. These usually come right off. These bolts that hold a Petcock on have little rubber washers on the back of them. If you lose the rubber washer or if it over compresses, it will leak fuel from the bolts. Or you should renew those if you have new ones every time you take the Petcock off. And they don't leak when you put them back on. Oh boy, I hope that's the case today. Now the filter is, needless to say, you can blow right through the filter and it's not clogged up at all, which is exactly what I suspected. So I put that part up there. Now this, I even when I pull vacuum on it, I can't get gas to flow in either direction, and the fact that the prime is clogged up leads me to believe there's some real crap in there. What I'm going to try to do is pull the fuel line off, let some of this carb stuff soak in there, and then blow some compressed air through there and see if I can get fuel to flow. I have to blow a little compressed air down. Put some WD-40 in there, see if that can loosen it up. Now what I'm trying to do now with this, with the compressed air, I want to fill this up. This is WD-40. I want to fill up the little, just let them soak in there. I got compressed air. And now once I can get air to blow through there on the prime circuit, then I'll do the same thing with the other circuit. I'll pull some vacuum. Whoop. Okay, we got one side of this clean. Now before I put this back, I wanted to confirm that I don't have a rip in the diaphragm, which if that were the case, you wouldn't have the vacuum and you'd just have an on-off Petcock then. So the next step, I need to pull the parts off of this bike, basically put them on what will be the other evil twin, and then start assembling the bike using the tan parts. Now again, this tank is going in storage probably for the summer or for the winter or until we do the part swap again. And actually it took us longer to resolve, it took me longer to resolve this Petcock issue than it did to swap the parts out, I'm sure. But I always like to store the tanks full of gas. Now I'm really paranoid about anything that has to do with gasoline for one simple reason. When I was in my teens, our next door neighbor's son, and I don't remember how old he was putting fuel in a lawnmower and it caught fire. I guess he poured some on the hot exhaust, I don't know. He got burned really bad. So ever since that experience, I've had a really good respect for gasoline. And any time I have now, in this case, I probably have 5 gallons in 8 bikes. I probably got 50 gallons of gas in the garage. I'm always running around checking for leaks, and if I smell gas, boy, I want to find it right away. And I remember, and I'll thank Luciano for this, again, when we bought the FZR and it had a fuel leak, he helped me resolve that fuel leak. And boy, that's when you know who your friends really are. When you have a fuel leak and it's 10 below zero. Now, we just did a valve adjustment. We just did some polishing, some engine polishing, and now it's just time. Now I think from this point on, the twins, all they need is like swap clothes. And the original thing with this was I wanted to have like the feeling of having a new bike. And I'm guessing if it wasn't for that Petcock, I can do this whole swap in about an hour. And in good weather, probably in 45 minutes. Don't want to forget to put the right key on this bike. I don't want to go for a ride, go to unlock the gas cap, and it doesn't unlock. Now, as these parts are being swapped out, boy, I forgot how much this bike is really nice to work on. You know, some of the bikes that I've owned and do own, annoying to work on. It's like when they made this bike, they did take into account that someday you were going to have to work on it. Now, this is pretty funny. Can't make this up. As I'm putting the parts together, I'm putting a coat of carnauba wax on them, and I go to squeeze the wax thing to get some wax. Look at what happens to wax, carnauba wax. But the thing exploded on me. Anyway, it's one I usually put this stuff in the cellar, and I forgot this. Shame on me. And it does seem funny to see them with their mix and match on here. It's like having twins and you buy them two different outfits and they're playing mix and match. But well, so far so good. But putting that carnauba wax on because these parts basically in storage. And here's the thing: maybe in the middle of the summer, I'll want to swap these out. But when I do, I want to just be able to do this. You know, I know it's under an hour job now. Now, after a nice hot cup of coffee, putting the rest of these parts on should go relatively quickly. That is a good tip if you're putting this tail section on or off a GS, and I guess other bikes too. If you take the lock out and put it in at the very end, what happens is you don't run the risks. What happens is these rubber grommets make it that you have to stretch the tails, and a lot of times that puts a lot of stress on these bolts. So a section like this that's all mounted in rubber grommets, what I like to do is just by hand tighten all the bolts, and then one by one go around and tighten them with a wrench. And it is, in this case, since everything is mounted in rubber bushings, it's nice in terms of, well, the parts crack a lot less. But I really always just hand tighten all of the bolts. There's two in the back, and then go around little by little. Let the part sit. What happens, again, if you tighten one and then the other one, you stretch, shove the bolt in, you put a stress on a part, and that's when they tend to crack. Well, little by little, it's all coming together. I think the only part left now is the front fender. Actually, one of the parts that really is probably the most difficult to swap on this. It's very difficult to get your hands in. The bolts are in a very tight location. That's about the only difficult part on this whole swap. If you've ever taken one of these apart, you know to get these back two screws in, it's all, if you can get your hand in there, you have to line up a fork brace. This piece all have to line up at the same time. It's almost worth taking the wheel off. Well, the Evil Twin project turned out to be better than I ever thought it would be. And when I think of the most difficult thing was working on that Petcock of all things. Without that and tightening those two back bolts on the front wheel, and believe me, it is almost worth taking the wheel out to do it. My fingers are bleeding. Anyway, this has just been an enjoyable day. I don't know how to explain it. I always, at the end of a day like this, I get really happy. I have a title for both of these bikes. Now, I had originally bought this bike with Ray. We went down to Philly and picked it up. We knew it had a bad engine, but over the years, the money I paid for it, I've got 3 times that amount in parts. And just knowing I have the spare parts, what allows me to do things like this. Now the next project, the next part of this project, not sure when I'm going to be able to do it. I want to make a set of custom wheels. But to be honest, and I didn't know how the gold wheels were going to look. I guess they don't look too bad. It's not bad at all. In fact, this is the Evil Twin project. Karen loves that name. And every time I look back at these videos, I'll remember that parts the last couple of weeks have been really cold. But this is what gets me through a long winter, just having projects. Now, the best thing of all, project like this, almost no money. And if you don't like it, you can paint the other parts over. And as the snow is melting and the sun sets in the west, this is a great project to have behind me. I am really happy the way this worked out. And this is exactly the way, except for the wheels, of course, and the polishing, the way the bike looked 35 years ago. When it left Japan, who knew it would be mine for life? And for whatever this information is worth, I noticed the original video we made of polishing this engine has over 350,000 hits. So I think what we're going to do in the future, it seems like there's a lot of people enjoy seeing the part polishing. A lot of the parts, especially the fork legs on this bike, could use a renewal. So I hope you found the information on the video useful, or you've been inspired to make an evil twin. Whether you use gold wheels on one set, black wheels on the other set, polish the engine, it's all out on our channel. Every bit of the work I do on motorcycling is out on the channel. Over 3,000 videos, and some of them really have a lot of hits. And we love our evil twin. Now, if you're new to our channel, we have a very, very eclectic channel. One of the new features we have now is some of the videos are grouped into groups that you can access all the videos for one category in one mouse click. And it should be very convenient and very handy. Just check out the feature on the main screen playlist. And thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. We appreciate your support, and it makes this channel possible with all the things we do, the painting, the wheels, the polishing. And please take a second or two and hit the like button. And thanks everyone for watching.